the onboarding process is the most important step in every Skool community, because without that, it's going to feel like we have to fight a level 10 dragon at level 2 with a plastic sword, and no one wants that. So I want to show you specifically how to set up the Skool onboarding like a video game tutorial, because Skool already feels like a game, so might as well take advantage of the things that video games have figured out for decades. So in this video, we'll specifically go deeper into the about page, the welcome sequence, as well as the classroom. And to prove to you that this is actually working, let me introduce myself. Because I'm Luke, the networking wizard, and I'm building an ecosystem of communities. In the past, I've worked with someone like Aidan Lebrecht, who is running synthesizer scaling, and we helped the first cohort make over 3 million collectively. And he now has the ninja emoji, which means that synthesizer scaling is making over $300,000 every month. And I'm also helped Andrew Kirby with running the synthesizer community, which has now 40,000 members, which is mind-boggling. And in my own community, the game, we help educators team up to scale together while having fun. And in there, I have a specific quest called the Jedi Academy, where we are walking through the different skills that we need to learn across marketing, sales, and operations. And this video is actually the onboarding skill for the overall operations skill. So this is what we're covering in this video. We'll cover the about page, the welcome sequence, as well as the classroom. So let's start with the about page, because this is the first step that everyone is going to see. So we want to have proof, results, and what you get. So I got the about page from Synthesizer here, so we can have an example on what this looks like. And I really think we don't need anything more. Having like a short sentence on like what this is about. By the way, this can also be the general community description. So this way, we just reinforce what the community is really about. And then we're covering the proof that we have ourselves, the results that we got our members, and what new members will be getting in the community. And then having a simple call to action on joining the community. So that's very similar to how Luke is being introduced. And like, hey, this is like the cover of the image. This is like, are you down for this adventure? Is this something that you're interested in? So that's why it's like really the beginning of things. So after people have maybe left their home planet and they're now part of this community, we want to make sure that they're feeling welcomed in there, that they see this is a place where people like me are hanging out and doing the things that I also want to do. So for that, I think we have 3 specific aspects that we can make sure that our members feel the most welcome. And these are also the first step that I would encourage you to incentivize your members to take. And we can also incentivize this with some goodies in the classroom, but we'll get to that in just a second. Because the first thing that generally tends to happen is having a chat message that can also be automated. So if you're running a bigger community, I would do something along the lines of that, where you just say it's like, hey, name, this is like obviously has their own name in there. So like the automated chat message will be able to adjust this, welcoming them to the community, reminding them again what we are really doing here, and then sending them to the next step. And after that, I also like to follow up members and kind of start more of a conversation in the chat after they already know, okay, what's the first step in the community. So the first step is pointing them towards the introduction post. So here we really want to make members introduce themselves. So the first step is like, start telling us who you are. Where you're based, who do you help, what do you do? So these questions can be adjusted based on like what your community is about. I would generally encourage members to interact with one another. And as you can see, I posted this 11 days ago and we already have over 200 comments in there. So it's a great way for members to get to know each other within the comments and without spamming the communities with new people joining. Because I would want a more curated post as their first post. So also keep in mind that we are really walking them through the different aspects of Skool. So even if they have never been to Skool, we start with the simplest thing, chatting, which is like, oh, I know how to chat. Then we just want them to leave one simple comment. It's like, I know how to comment. And only after that, we sending them to continue the adventure, which is also the first module in the classroom. And here, personally, I'm putting like the origin story in there. And I give them very specific instructions on like, hey, copy everything below and everything above. And I make it as simple and easy as possible for them to create their first post. Because once they have done that, once they have been like chatting with us a little bit, once they left their first comment, once they have posted their first post, they will probably already be at level 3, which makes them much more likely to stay. And they are actually feeling welcomed and they have done everything that they need to do. And from there on, it's just repeating the steps. And so we have already established a gameplay loop that we want them to continue over and over. And this is what I would continuously reinforce in the classroom, where we can now go a little bit deeper in like what our community is about. So I already mentioned we have the start here post, which is like the new beginning. So in my in my community, it's the origin story, letting them kind of like tell a little bit more about themselves. That goes beyond a simple comment on like asking these 3 questions, but it has a little bit more detail, depth. They can talk about their achievements, their focus, goals that they're having. So this allows them to connect with more members, and this will also spark new conversations. After that, I think the second module, this can also be unlocked. This can be unlocked at level 3. So this way, it's something that they need to strive towards. And if they are members that we feel like are perfect ICP and we want them to get instant access to that, we can even give that to them as an additional service delivery. And it's like, hey, looks like you already know your way around. I've unlocked this module for you, so you can already check this out immediately without having to grind up the levels. And that already will probably incentivize them to stay in the community because they have been getting some like extra service from us. So it's like, oh, that just feels good to have more attention on us. So the challenge is something that I like to set up that is an ongoing thing. And the important thing about the challenge is that it actually gets members results. And it's not just like a gimmick on like, hey, just do these things. Because when they are doing the challenge and they are getting results, they are much more ready to potentially upgrade into one of our paid programs. So this would be the next step where I'm thinking of a premium cohort where we are not just giving away the information, but we're also selling the implementation. So based on where they are on the journey, they can do everything themselves because the training is in here. But if they want to have additional help, support, tools, guidance, all of that, then we can do this in an upgraded version of the premium. Something to keep in mind here, if you're getting started, then I wouldn't worry about all of these things and actually start with a VIP service offer. So you don't need to have a fancy community that is super engaged at this point because you're just trying to like put your own oxygen mask on first. So this way you are delivering a service for someone else, and that means you probably have to go to them over them coming to you. So this is like a little bit more advanced here, but if you're already working on that, I would rather have you set up a strong foundation that can work for longer periods of time. And from there on, we have a really clear step. And also specifically in the classroom, less is more. So I've seen a lot of classrooms that are very bloated. And one of the biggest reasons people are actually churning is because like, there's way too much to do. I don't even know where to start. So I've also seen different classrooms where they like really guide you through these steps. And we can also have an unlock at level 5 or at level 7. I would be careful with those because even though it's great for engagement and gamification, it can be a little bit overwhelming and it can also be a distraction from the thing that we are actually providing. And I'm a fan of just like, okay, let me make this as good as possible and like also reduce it to the bare minimum so we have the most value per second and thus creating a better experience over just doing more. So generally, when we are thinking about content, or like marketing and sales, more tends to be better. But when we're thinking about delivery, then less is actually more because we don't want to overwhelm. And it's much better to just have a higher quality program and course over just like a big bloated one. So I hope you found this useful. Next time, we're going to go deeper into the building of the whole program and how to actually get our members results. And until then, enjoy the journey and have fun. Peace.